In this video, we'll learn how to play the game Kingswood. To see how to set up the game, check the link in the description below. The king has assembled the most prominent village guilds and issued a challenge: rid the surrounding forest of monsters to earn your guild widespread fame and glory. In Kingswood, players will choose a guild and travel around to different village locations in order to gain the resources necessary before they venture out into the forest to take on monsters. Defeating monsters will earn players fame, and once a player reaches 20 fame, play will continue until everyone has had an equal number of turns. Then the game ends. Whoever has earned the most fame after their final turn is the winner. Players will be using swords, spellbooks, hearts, and coins to defeat the monsters. Once coins are spent, they are returned to the general supply, but swords, spellbooks, and hearts are simply exhausted and can be refreshed by visiting locations and sometimes by defeating certain monsters. Each player will choose a guild card and receive the respective resources at the bottom of the card. Note that Crom's card shows 2 of his resources exhausted. Turns in Kingswood are pretty simple. You either explore or collect. In each game, there will be 5 common locations that always appear. The Academy, Tavern, Market, and Blacksmith will allow players to visit them to gain resources or to refresh resources, while players can visit the forest so that they can spend resources to fight monsters and gain fame. In each game, you will also be able to shuffle in 1 special location of the 8 contained in the box. This special location will be added to the 5 common locations to form the village. When doing the Explore action, players will choose a location that has an adventurer on it, and move that adventurer to an empty location, either clockwise or counterclockwise. Players will be able to use the action from the location they're leaving as well as the one they're traveling to. You can move to an empty adjacent location for no cost. You may also skip over 1 or more locations and again perform the action at the starting and the ending location, but you'll have to pay 1 coin for each location you skip. Regardless of which direction you move, when you're finished, you will place the King's Guard meeple on the location where you started. While the King's Guard is present on that location, no one will be able to travel there, but he will move on the next player's turn. The other action a player can do besides explore is to collect. To collect, remove the King's Guard meeple from its current location and place it to the side, where it will block no one. Gain 2 coins from the supply. That's your whole turn. If the King's Guard is not on a location when it's your turn, you can't take the collect action and must explore instead. Now let's look at the common locations to see what you can do while traveling. In the Academy, you'll be able to spend a coin to refresh all of your spellbooks, or spend a coin to gain 1 spellbook. Remember, as you fight monsters, you'll be exhausting resources, and here in the village, you'll be able to spend money to replenish those resources. In the market, you will be able to gain 3 coins. In the tavern, you'll be able to spend a coin to refresh all of your hearts, or spend a coin to gain 1 heart. And in the blacksmith, you can spend a coin to refresh all swords, or gain 1 sword. Now let's travel to the forest, where you'll be fighting monsters to gain fame. When fighting a monster, you'll spend the resources indicated on the card, and then you'll gain any reward for defeating the monster, and then you will score the monster's victory points. Some rewards are immediate, other rewards provide you bonuses at the end of the game. Here, this monster costs 3 gold to defeat. Remember, when spending gold to defeat monsters, they are returned to the general supply. Players don't have to stop with just 1 monster. This monster requires a spellbook and a gold piece. The gold piece will be returned to the general supply, but the spellbook will just be exhausted and kept in front of the player. Again, the player will be able to get the reward on the card. Here, the reward is to refresh 1 heart. If a player has a heart that's exhausted, they can refresh it. Numbered points are scored on the King's tally immediately, while bonuses will only be scored at the end of the game. Monsters are only replenished at the end of the player's visit to the forest, not after each monster is defeated. The game end is triggered after any player reaches at least 20 fame. Play continues until the player to the right of the start player has taken their turn so that everyone gets an equal number of turns. After adding any bonus fame from your monster abilities, the player with the highest fame wins. If there's a tie, the player with the most coins wins, and if still tied, the player with the highest total number of resources is the winner. Before finishing up, let's briefly look at the concept of capturing a monster. Sometimes, an ability or a location will let you capture a monster. To do this, you can choose a monster that's already revealed in the forest or draw off the top card of the deck. Then tuck the card face down under your guild card. In a future turn in the forest, you may choose to defeat your captured monster instead of one of the monsters in the forest. You can still defeat other monsters in the forest as normal on that same turn. You can never release your captured monster, and you must defeat it before capturing another monster. You can only have one captured monster at a time. I also wanted to mention the solo mode in Kingswood that's kind of like a tower defense, where the player uses resources to defeat monsters that are continuously attacking the village, but I'll let you look at that in the rulebook for yourself. Well, I hope now you have a better understanding of how to play the game Kingswood. Thanks for watching, and if you enjoyed this video, please subscribe to my channel for more content.